Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome to round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by the SCCA Foundation and Butt Kicker, where some of the best virtual GTP, LMP2, and GT3 racers will do battle for 90 minutes here tonight on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod in the commentary box, and we got the hardest working man in virtual show business. That's Jonathan Grabowski working behind the scenes to give us all the best views of tonight's action. And like so many of Europe's classic circuits, our host this week has seemingly been around since the dawn of motorsport. Nestled in the Ardennes forest and designed to incorporate the roads linking Malmedy, Stavelot, and Francorchamps, this throwback to a wilder, much more unsafe time has, by necessity, changed much over the years. No longer the 9.5, then 8.7 mile monster that once included the turn that Jackie Stewart called the most difficult corner in the world. Spa-Francorchamps has said goodbye to the Mazda Kink, but today's 4.3 mile, 20 turn circuit is still home to Eau Rouge, where F1 drivers still consider it a challenge to go flat out. Good evening, Larry, and welcome to what I believe may be your very favorite circuit, other than perhaps the National Park of Speed.
It is definitely up there. I do love Spa. I love Spa because it just has a sense that you feel like you're going somewhere. And in the old days, obviously, with the 9 mile through the little towns of Belgium, you actually were going somewhere. Now, though, even in this version, it still feels like this place is monstrous. I love the effects in real life, how it can be raining at La Source and totally dry at the end of the Kemmel Straight. it's just an amazing place, and I think lucky that we've got it in the sim and on this platform, and it's great that this series is going to visit here tonight for 90 whole minutes of our World Challenge. This is going to be great.
You know, I actually, with the changing weather that we had at Summit Point this weekend, I actually referred to it to my partner as the spa of the Mid-Atlantic. We actually had different weather conditions down in the carousel versus up on the front straight. It was great. All right, so Larry, we have our racers out on track right now for their 15-minute Speed Lab qualifying session. I already screwed it up. As we brought on a brand new partner this week, it's the Speed Lab Institute for Performance Sciences, and we want to thank them for joining the Ricmotech family as they are sponsoring and will be sponsoring qualifying for the rest of the season. And as always, it is a 15-minute qualifying session. We give our drivers 4 flying laps in order to set their fastest lap here at Spa to set the grid for this evening's race. And currently sitting atop the leaderboard, Bailey Petrowski in the number 115 D2D Sim Racing Ferrari. We've got Dean Dibdahl, your fastest driver in LMP2. Ryan Amon and Keel Spalding, who were our 2 fastest drivers in practice this week in GT3. Amon, who we're watching right now, in his Mustang, and Spalding in his Acura, both set the fastest laps this week. They are your fastest GT3 Pro drivers, and then in GT3 AM, Dan Carrizo in his Acura, currently your fastest driver on track. As we watch now is a good portion of the field working their 4th and final laps, at least in the GT3 Pro field. In GTP, currently most of our racers have either already wrapped up qualifying or they're in the last half of their final lap. We're on board with Dan Carrizo in that Acura right now as he goes now up and through Eau Rouge. And maybe it's not such a challenge to go flat out in this Acura, which, you know, as we saw last season was I think the chassis that was really a standout. Amon, of course, in GT3 Pro in the Mustang. And as I look through the field, Larry, good distribution of racers. We've got a couple Acuras at the front of the AM field. We've got the Lamborghini of D'Aleva out there as well. D'Aleva currently running 3rd fastest in GT3 AM, and Josh Vidal running in his Acura as he's now just about ready to start his 4th and final flying lap.
Yeah, I do love seeing that variety out there. That'll be interesting to see how that does tonight in terms of how they manage tire wear, fuel consumption, and see who's able to get the right setup to go fast over the long haul. Obviously, right now, we've got a good mixture even in the top 5 with Fords and Acuras, McLarens, really covering all of it, but really comes down to who could do it for 90 minutes.
And in the GTP field, Larry, it appears as though all of our racers have either put in their 4 flying laps or a couple of racers like Jake Zito and Sean Fitzgerald apparently decided to call it a session after lap 2 and lap 4 respectively. So we're watching Ethan Bass right now in the number 30, no, that's the number 219, Ford Mustang, and he is currently now starting his 4th and final lap as he heads around La Source and starts his way down the hill towards Eau Rouge.
Really great sound of that Mustang.
Yes. So I know we don't have the LMP3s here, Larry, this week. Of course, this is LMP2 time in the World Challenge. But the event this weekend that I was running, we actually had somebody out with a Ligier JSP 320 with that Nissan engine that we always talk about. And it is just as glorious in real life as it is in the sim.
Would you believe there was one at Road America as well at the Junior Sprints this past weekend? And Yes, unbelievable sounds that it would make there as well. And yeah, so
That being said, none here this weekend.
none
or
here
this evening.
tonight. No, we've got the GTPs and the LMP2s. Very different engines. Still, they do sound pretty good, and they in fact go even faster than those Ligiers.
All right, Stacy Bertrand now comes out of the final chicane and completes her fourth and final lap. She's going to finish up the session here, finish up Speed Lab qualifying, 7th fastest in the LMP2 class. Jordan Griffin, our final racer in LMP2, out for qualifying, currently sitting 8th in the field in the number 283 Dolara. He is looking to make up, let's take a look here. He's looking to make up about 15 hundredths of a second in order to swap positions with Stacy Bertrand on this on the 4th and final row of LMP2. I'm sure Jordan would be looking to move a little higher than 4th row if he can. As he works his way out of Blanchimont and now up to the final chicane. Onto the front straight. And across the line. And Jordan Griffin, does he improve? Yes, he does. He turns in a 2:10.17, Larry. And that time for him, actually 2:10.165. He's about a couple hundredths off of Stacy Bertrand. They will stay on the front, or on row number 4, as our final racer, Keith Stein, calls off his final flying lap of Speed Lab qualifying. Pardon me. Let's take a look. Looking to see in our green room if our interview guest made it, and that was supposed to be Filippo Barberi from Speed Lab Dream to Inspire. Unfortunately, does not make it before our racers head to the grid. So, Larry, let's run down the Speed Lab qualifying results here tonight from Spa.
All right, let's start with our prototypes in our GTPs on the pole. No surprise here from D2D Sim Racing. It is the Bailey Petrowski who'll be leading us down into turn 1. On his outside, Kevin Carlisle from Sim City Racing will be matched up there. Row 2 on the inside is going to be a Sim City teammate of Kevin's, Nick Mazza, lined up alongside Lead Paw Racing's Sean Fitzgerald. On row 3, an HSR Phantom Racing entry of Jake Zito. And then we've got, yes, he's back, Bobby Childs on the outside of row 3 from DTD Sim
the
Racing.
Myth, the legend.
He is back. All right. And then a teammate of Bobby's, Aaron Beaver, will make up row 4 from DTD Sim Racing. And then we get to our LMP2s. The rocket ship himself, Dean Dibdahl, will be on pole there. Alongside him, Carson Cushman from Purple Sector Motorsports. Row 2 is going to be a DNA Motorsports entry, Jordan Butler on the inside, and Justin Barrera on the outside from Metamorphosis. On row 3, you got Nicholas Lemon from Texas, alongside Malik Bass from WBM Racing, and then finally Stacy Bertrand from Rockefeller Racing LMP2, alongside Jordan Griffin from Purple Sector Motorsport.
All right, let's move over to our GT3 racers, where Ryan Amon from SimCity Racing is your pole sitter. He'll start alongside North Carolinian 704 Motorsports, Keel Spalding. Again, those are our 2 fastest drivers in practice this week. Row number 2, Ethan Bass from Orbit Drop Bear Motorsports, alongside Michael Brooks from The Wrong Stuff. Then we've got Brian Coxon alongside Leo Dragota from Orion Racing. Milan Harris from Rockefeller will start alongside his teammate John Kroom. And then we got Robert Hartley from Orion, and Hartley will start alongside his teammate Taj Edwards. Ilya Speaker from Rockefeller Racing will make up our next driver on the grid. He'll start alongside Travis Schwenke from Orion Race Team, with Charlie Hosea will start right behind his teammate Speaker and alongside teammate Keith Stein. And then we move over to our GT3 AM drivers, where Dan Carrillo from P1 Racing will take the pole position in that class. He's going to start alongside pro driver Zach Mosley. Josh Vidal and Zach DeLeva will make up the next row alongside, and then we've got Adam Ballard, probably not alongside, but on the next row, we got Adam Ballard and Tyler King from Era Kinetics, of course, moving over now into the GT cars. And we've got Carlos Barrera from Speed Lab Dream 2 Inspire, then with Aaron Sunday from OHND Racing. Neil Weston from HTPK will start alongside Filippo Barberi from Speed Lab Dream 2 Inspire. And then we got Rocky Rocco, the principal for Rockefeller Racing, starting alongside Lead Paws Panhydride. Next, we got Chad Sebring alongside Julio Barrero. And then we've got the Frito Sport racer John Casey. Big surprise here at the back of the field, and did not get a time in qualifying. And it appears, though, Larry, he did make the grid. Mike Dam from Orion Racing is going to start at the very rear of the GT3 field, as Jeff Jacobs and Greg Brockway, neither racer took and started the pace lap. Speaking of pace laps and pace cars, pace car is on the pit lane, turning things over to our pole sitter, Bailey Petrowski from D2D, and green flag is in the air, Larry, as Petrowski and Carlisle go down into La Source, the hairpin, start to make their way down the hill.
Contact.
Going around. Oh, wow. Bobby Childs, Aaron Beaver, both having issues and going around. And I think Sean Fitzgerald might have been caught up in that as well, just as our LMP2 racers get the green flag. And they're going to come down out of La Source with Sean Fitzgerald right in front of him. Dean Dibdahl jumps out to the early lead over Carson Cushman and Justin Barrera, as our GT3 racers now get the green flag as well. And it is on the front row, Ryan Amon and Keel Spalding. Mustang of Ryan Amon has position, as one of our other racers now just rejoins from the pit lane, Larry. And that might have been an early rejoin there. It's obviously not the whole field. It did not make it around, but it's Amon who gets around Spalding, then Ethan Bass, Michael Brooks, and running very, very wide, Jordan Butler, as he now gets back out on track.
Yeah, that car that entered from the pits may have actually started from the pits, which means they can go green. That is a Barbera.
And Larry, we've got a huge stack up at Lacombe here, as actually was it Lacombe? Actually, not even Lacombe, as they came through Radion. Looks like a lot of the drivers getting off track wildly. I think I saw a big. I think we had Panhydride. I think Zach DeLeva, Keith Stein as well. Let's see if we can take a look here. And I think Dan Carrillo might have been infected as well.
There were a couple cars that went wide as they got to Radion at the top of the Eau Rouge complex, and you can see that one came flying across there. That might have been Zach DeLeva getting punted there. I didn't see which car hit him. DeLeva, though, had definitely taken the brunt there in that number 33 Air Kinetics entry. And then a replay here of the LMP2s. Jordan Butler may have had some issues when they got to the end of the Camel Straight into Lacombe. I don't know if that's contact or just some cold tires there.
Yeah, I think that just might have been cold tires, as the DNA racer ends up going wide and falling to the outside, and now bringing a lot of gravel back onto the track there. And Larry, all of a sudden, Mike Dam starting at the back of the GT3 field. Doesn't really matter. Seem to matter all that much, as we're watching Jake Zito have his challenges and his problems as well. And lots of racers now in the pit lane, almost exclusively GT3 cars, but Jake Zito and Bobby Childs in their Ferraris, who had this incident right on the opening corner coming through La Source, ended up having to take to the pit lane to take repairs as well.
Yeah, all kinds of chaos there. That's Filippo Barberi.
And we think Barberi was the driver who joined from the pit lane and came out right in the middle of the field, Larry.
Actually, it was Carlos Barrero that might have been the one that started from the pits, and he's running, I think, up in the top 5 overall. I think we'll have to wait and see how this works when timing gets it. But yeah, I'm showing him pretty high up the order, as we're now watching Ethan Bass in that Mustang. He had also had some issues there on that first time through Eau Rouge Radion, but was able to get back in. See who's around him there. Should be Coxon, and behind him, Brian in that McLaren. And then, of course, you got the Porsche and then the Acura behind him. Should be Kroom and Harris right there.
So huge incidents here to start this race. Surprisingly, Larry, we're able to get them cleared. And I guess a lot of this is, I guess, one big advantage of having such a long course like Spa is that we were able to get these incidents cleared prior to the GTP field coming back around, that it did not bring out a full course caution. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, Wesson avoided it, but there was another wreck as he's just kind of going through the minefield there with just all sorts of things spinning around him.
The track was just littered with disabled
to be
vehicles.
Honest, I'm surprised we didn't go to a full course caution given the extent and the number of cars that were involved there, but we are still green as we go on board here with Stacy Bertrand in a bit of a fight there with the 34 and Nicholas Lemon. 34 in the lemon-colored car there.
Yeah,
right
I'm just
in
glad
front
that
of.
Lemon has a yellow car. That makes things much easier for me. All right, Larry, let's jump over to the AM battle. And originally, when I saw coming out of radio and I saw the Aerokinetics car that went around, I thought that it might have been Tyler King, who's our sole racer here in an Audi. But King has, we're showing now King as, well, being a very distant second in AM2, Carlos Barrero in that Lamborghini, who, we're showing so much further up the field due to that region. We'll see if our stewards, I think it would be very difficult for them to miss that, but I'm sure it'll catch up with him eventually. But King holding off right now, Josh Vidal, Aaron Sunday, Adam Ballard, all in very close proximity as they head up through Eau Rouge now for the third time.
Yeah, so that incident we saw in the opening lap was an Aerokinetics car. It was not the Acura, though. I believe it was the Lamborghini of Zach DeLeva.
DeLeva, exactly.
That was involved. So his teammates in the other of the Aerokinetics entries. As we now are looking out the back at Josh Vidal, looking at him in his Acura. Right there, of course, behind Tyler King.
And Larry, it appears as though Bobby Childs has retired to the chat. We'll see if he gets back in the car once those repairs are done. But I fear that his night has come to an early end.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Bobby. We're so looking forward to seeing him back in here after several weeks, going through a move and getting his rig back together. And he hasn't had much time for sim racing. It was kind of cool to see him back in the lineup at least, even if it only lasts for one corner.
And he does say he's coming back out for seat time.
Good. So we're on board with Brian Coxon in the McLaren, trying to chase down that's Michael Brooks, who we saw earlier have a little bit of an off, having some trouble keeping that Lamborghini on its path. But maybe just waiting to get some more heat in the tires here as we are still early in this race. Only really just working the end of the third lap. Meanwhile, Leo Dragota right behind.
Oh,
John
and Larry,
Kroom. Well, there was a Kroom
off into the wall, and that is John Kroom in the 45 Porsche, the Rockefeller Racing Porsche, and they were coming through Stavolo, and he just might have had contact. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, let's see if this contact with Dragota is behind. I don't know that there is.
He just lost the rear end.
Yeah, he might have got a little high centered there, just a little bit loose. These cars do slide a little bit through that kink. Yeah, this will give us a good indication of how close Dragota was to the back of Kroom as they go through this kink. And again, I don't think that he was close enough. No, that's all Kroom by himself.
No, that's all him. Yep.
Yeah. That's unfortunate. And Dragota, by the way, we haven't talked about it as much, is our points leader coming into this race. Got having a win in a second place in the first couple of rounds. So, yeah, we're going to keep an eye on him working his way through the field.
And we'll run down the point standings after a 3-round, or probably after 2 rounds here in just a little bit.
We got a big spin, and again, that's Brooks. That's the second time we've seen him lose it. This time he keeps losing it.
Yeah, so the 83 car loses the back end of the Lamborghini. He's now going to drop over 10 positions back into, I think, 17th position over all of our GT3 cars, 11th in Pro. Or 13th in Pro, pardon me.
Yeah,
and we saw there just as a couple racers, as the rear end stepped out, at least he rolled to the outside.
Yes.
Just at the apex, a number of racers were able to sneak right underneath them.
Yeah, that's good. He's able to save the train. And then, unfortunately for him, loses track position, but we did avoid another large pileup. But he does come out right behind another one of the Lamborghinis, Aaron Sunday, right there in front of him.
All right, as we jump up over to probably not GTP, to LMP2.
This
Dean
should make
Dibdahl.
This make Rich Dibdahl happy. Let's get a good shot of Dean with actually a very nice livery as he was complimenting himself. We'll give him the compliments. Whoever put the livery together here for Dean, the Rocket Ship Racing looks great. I do love a good polished
some chrome.
Myself. Oh, I love chrome.
So the question, Larry, is going to be how long can Dean make these tires last? The pit window for we usually see with these longer races where for LMP2 the pit window is very, very short, but it is going to be very similar across all three classes. The pit window being essentially 1 lap long for GTP, where we would expect most of our racers to come in on their 22nd lap. LMP2, where we think that they'll make it. Actually, LMP2 has a little bit longer pit window than most of the other racers. I think theirs actually extends out a good deal, almost to 19 laps, although the LMP2 racers will likely have to take 2 separate pit stops here. And then in GT3, probably by lap 19, they will need to bring their cars in.
Yeah, we've seen that with the LMP2s, that often they end up in these 90-minute races, essentially about a 44 minutes that they can go, which pretty much means they have to do a little fuel save to make it a one-stop. I'll be interested tonight to see, does anybody try a one-stop, or do they think they can stretch this thing to that 44, 45-minute window in an LMP2? How much fuel save can they get out of that car?
And Rich, who still hasn't figured out how to log in under his own account instead of Dean's, in YouTube says, don't show Dean because the commentator's curse is real. As we're watching Mike Dam now making the move on the Corvette of Neil Weston. Dam now up to 14th position in Pro, which is pretty much where he was and where he started this race. He's made up 13 positions since the start of the race, Larry. The problem is that I think that pass that he just made on Weston was the first pass that he's actually made on track. All the other positions have been made up because of drivers having to retire to the pit lane.
Any way you can get them.
Yes, you do.
But this track, we've seen some other places where passing is very difficult. Things like Mosport comes to mind. One of those tracks, really tough to pass. Then you get to a place like a Lime Rock or something. But here at Spa, not usually as big of an issue. You can get by at the end of the Kemmel Straight, following Eau Rouge. You can try making a pass going into the final bus stop chicane there. So there's a couple of places around here that you can make passes if you're looking to move up the ranks.
As we look at Tyler King now, the last time we saw King, he was sitting second in AM, Larry, but Josh Vidal now in his Acura has managed to slide by and has put a couple car lengths on. We'll see, might be able to pull up and show you exactly how and when that happened. And Larry, I think we might be coming up right where you said, going into the last
a big
chicane.
slide to the kink, where we did see one of our drivers earlier make a big slide in a Porsche. This time, it looks like at least King was able to hold that together and keep it in, but does lose a position going into the bus stop. And then right behind him as we come back, that is race leader Bailey Petrowski in his D2D GTP car. There's the number 115. Unmistakable Bailey Petrowski. Picked that thing pretty much out of anywhere with that color on that big car.
Just the acceleration away from that GT3 car. Insane. We'll see how much this traffic does affect Petrowski. Is we see her just now coming out of the previous corner is Kevin Carlisle, currently a little bit over 2.5 seconds back. But Petrowski is shown to be very deft at managing traffic on many of these longer courses.
Yeah, with 47 cars that took the green flag tonight, traffic is definitely an issue, and a number of them, maybe as many as 8 or 10 of them, aren't running at this time. But see, this is where Petrowski shows his patience, waiting now behind this group of 4 GT3 cars before he gets by. Probably pick off 1 or 2 or 3 of these before he gets to the source. There goes 1, there comes 2, there goes 3, there you go. And then by the time he gets to the source, he'll finish the 3rd pass. Hartley being the 3rd there in his Orion Porsche.
And good heads-up driving from Hartley not to pinch down to the apex there.
Absolutely. Coming
through La Source.
Yeah, it looks like Mike Dam now will be the next one. Oh, that's Leo Dracota, in fact,
That's
actually.
Leo,
Yeah.
Taking a look to the inside on Rob Hartley, Milan Harris in the Acura. For a moment, it pulled up alongside, tries to go and make the over-under. There, cannot get it done.
And is that your 2nd place overall, Kevin Carlisle, just trying to squeeze between them?
I think so. All right, and Larry, there it is. Carlos Barrero has been given a drive-through penalty for his, we'll call it early start.
Start infringement.
Yes. So that will that should move Josh Vidal up to the lead in GT3 AM when Barrero goes to serve that penalty.
Because I think he did start from the pits, which allows you an earlier release. As soon as the first class gets green, they can take off,
Right.
and he took it. I thought Mike Dam also may have started from the pits, but he waited for the GT3
No,
field to
I
go
think
by.
Dan. Yeah, I think Dan was actually on the pace lap
Was he?
at the
Okay.
the rear of the field. Yeah, but yeah, that's got to be very difficult, especially given the way the pit lane there, Larry, wraps around La Source to kind of judge when you should start rolling. It's a very long pit lane, of course, once you leave your pit stall and rejoin on the run down to Eau Rouge. You can't really see where the GT3 cars are in order to judge them. All you can really do is, wait for the command from our real life starter provided by the SCCA Foundation as to when, perhaps you should start that roll. And Barrero now into the pits. Vidal, as we suspected, takes over the lead in GT3 AM, 12th out of all of our GT3s. Tyler King will move up to 2nd, and it looks like Barrero is going to rejoin likely in 4th in AM.
Okay.
And I think that'll be about 18th or so of the GT3s, right behind Mike Dam.
Good little battles going on here. Neil Weston trying to chase down Adam Ballard, I believe, and the Rockefeller entry right there in front of him.
And this is the
fifth.
battle for 5th in AM, I believe, Larry.
Yep. And they're not too far. You can see Barrero then
Yeah, there's
after he
Barrero
served his
directly ahead of
penalty.
him.
yeah, just in fourth. So between the three of them, just a little over second cover in that.
As we jump over to the mid-pack in LMP2, Jordan Griffin and Malik Bass, the 283, the 191. Competing for fourth position. They're a couple seconds back from Justin Barrera, currently in third. And they're Nicholas Lemon in the lemon yellow, number 34. About 2.5 seconds back from there. There he is. These two racers seemingly in lockstep at this point, this early on. Very early days here in our 90-minute race. So hey, let's do this while we have the chance. John, why don't we take a look at where we stand after 2 rounds in the championship in we'll take a look at LMP2. I think we've got time. We can spread all these different classes out. Last week, or probably 2 weeks ago, as Larry mentioned, Dean Dibdahl took the win at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, with Carson Cushman finishing second and Avon Dorsey finishing third. And so after 2 rounds, Dibdahl with an 8-point advantage now over the rest of the field. And actually, I don't think those point standings are correct yet. We might be showing, unless we're showing with the drops at this point. I'm showing that Dibdahl has 132 to 124 for Cushman. And then Jordan Griffin, I'm showing in third at 112.
Yeah, those look like the round 1 points. Doesn't have the second round put in there. You are correct. Dibdahl, Cushman, Griffin should be your top 3. 132, 124, 112. Stacey Bertrand. 103.
We'll get somebody fired for that with a mistake. Don't you worry, people. All right, Dean Dibdahl. Last time around, Larry, I think Carson Cushman's actually made up a little bit of ground here. They were, at least in the last couple of laps, they ran almost identical lap times on the last circuit of this track on lap number 9. And the margin now just about 1 second separating. There's the breakdown there. You can see the last couple of laps, with one exception, that Cushman had been just slowly chipping away. That last lap, again, lap number 9, Cushman 5/1000ths of a second to the good, but otherwise he'd been chipping away 0.3, 0.2, 0.2.
Well, this is the race we've been waiting for this season. We know that Cushman came into last season mid-year, won a bunch of races, didn't have enough points to qualify for the championship. Dibdahl jumps in this year. He does really well in some endurance races, finally jumps back into this Ricmotech Monday nights. And yet, Cushman just couldn't quite put together a couple of good races early on. But I think this is the battle we've been waiting for. This 1 second gap here, 20 minutes into a 90-minute race. This is really what we're looking for. This is going to come down to traffic management, fuel saving, tire saving. This is going to be a fun one all the way through. Let's see if these guys play the long game and try to save a little bit of fuel, save a little bit of tires. I think it might have been John Casey in the Acura, the Frito Sport.
Yeah.
There on the right. There you can see him.
As he slots in behind Dibdahl, try to get a little bit of a draft down to Lacombe.
Dean really slinging that car around. We joke around about Dibdahling tires. Now it's now a verb, but he really is chucking that car, and I think that's the way these cars like to be driven.
Yeah.
I just don't know how that is for tire wear.
Well, I would be very surprised, Larry, if he did not take a change of tires. Actually, I'd be very surprised if any of our LMP2 racers
with the 90
deferred,
minutes,
deferred from taking a tire change. As we're looking at Filippo Barberi here, and he heads to the pit lane. And was that, John, was that when he came to serve that? Well, that's Filippo Barberi. That's the 186 car. That isn't, Carlos Barrero, yeah. Too many B's. It's like having too many G's.
Yes. And 5 is just too many.
Agreed.
Everyone's quickly counting. Wait, how many G's are there in Spa-Francorchamps?
Not
None.
enough.
There's none. Eau Rouge has one.
And Michael Brooks, Ilya Speaker in the battle for 11th with Josh Vidal, your AM leader, just ahead. Nice little move there, although it looked like Speaker got a little caught out at the final chicane. I want to welcome Keith to the chat. I think he's just gone back and seen what happened on the very opening lap. Through the wonders of YouTube. And Mike Dam, who has now cleared the majority of the AM field. I think the only racer yet that he has not is your AM leader, Vidal. Tyler King, though, Larry, who at one point had been leading the AM field, has had he had a pretty big off track in that Audi. He now drops back in the 4th position. Let's see if we can take a look and see what happened to him. Oh, yes.
Just loses that back end. Oh, I think I see Walls coming. Is he going to avoid him? He skims him. Got lucky there.
Well, you know, Larry, you pay for the whole track. Might as well use it.
That's a popular place to run wide in that paved runoff there, but that's like a worst case scenario when suddenly the car hooks back to the other side. You don't expect to hit that green monster, and he just brushed it. But that's been a couple of times now for Tyler. One of those down near Blanchemont, now another one down Fulham, and not having the good handling car he was hoping to have tonight.
Yeah. All right, Mike Dam with Charlie Hosea from Rockefeller Racing and the Chevy Corvette ahead.
As the leaders in LMP2 go by, and Dam might just take this opportunity here. At least to get a good exit maybe from the bus stop.
Yeah, he tries to square off both turns at the bus stop there and doesn't get the greatest of exits. But it's like he still had some trouble getting the power down that the Corvette, surprisingly, actually did a decent job getting the power down there, as Jose is going to hold him off as the rest of the LMP2 field is very quickly coming up on them here as they make their way up through Eau Rouge.
Yeah, Justin Barrera right behind them now, and then LMP2 is going to try and go on by. Let's see if Dam pops out to use some draft, perhaps. No, but
Hosea does. Yeah.
And Dam backs off. That looked like a fuel save. Back off.
Yes. All right, Larry. Let's move over to the battle for 9th right now. Another one of the Orion racers, Travis Schwenke, driving the number 16 Porsche. And he's got a heck of a line behind him. He's got Zach Mosley in the 37 Corvette. He's got Michael Brooks in the Lamborghini, and we've shown some of Brooks's challenges here this evening. But I'm sure Schwenke, who finished, let's see, where did he finish up last week? Or 2 weeks ago, pardon me. I have to stop saying last week. Schwenke, who finished the race in 7th in Pro 2 weeks ago at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta.
It's like 3 weeks ago now. That was
that's right. We had the weekend off for Memorial Day. Yeah, forget about that.
Seems like it's been a while since we've had a World Challenge event. Look at this. Cushman's going to make sure he sneaks on through there.
Yeah, well, and Dibdahl is going to make sure that Cushman doesn't sneak on past him. As he's now has to get a little defensive as that fight that we had been watching it's definitely battle on in LMP2.
Watch Mosley here. He may be trying to get out braking done on Vidal and take that position. He does get the inside.
And he manages to hold off on the second part of the bus stop chicane. Larry, let's check back in with Tyler King, because I'm showing him as being on the pit lane now, and I
That's
think
not a good sign.
Yeah, his issues continue, and same thing, rear end starts to walk around on the Audi, and I'm wondering,
Wow, same place too.
yeah, but you know, Larry, and it could have been a setup issue, but even before he got into the corner, it looked like he was dialing in a lot of corrections to the rear of that car, and I'm wondering if perhaps he didn't throw the alignment out on the previous lap when we saw him impact the wall, because the car looked perhaps even a little bit more skittish than it had even previously.
Yeah. Hey, John, any chance there may be a incident somewhere on Bailey Petrowski that we want to take a look at? It seems that he's been assigned a penalty, a 10-second post-race penalty, but I don't think we've seen it. He's still in the lead. I don't know if he had contact, perhaps, with the GT3 car he was trying to pass, but Petrowski's been assigned a penalty. Don't know what for yet. 10-second post-race, and that 10 second gets applied now, Kevin Carlisle would be in the lead. But we're a long ways away. 45 more minutes. Sorry, not even 75. We're going 90. One more hour.
And Larry, also watching here, Josh Vidal in the Acura there, the number 26 machine. He's been following this Corvette of Zach Mosley, and Mosley has had, to put it kindly, some challenges as our GTP field works its way through. I think between the GTP field and the pressure that he's feeling from Josh Vidal, that he's been, to put it kindly, all over the place.
Mosley made the pass at the end of this long stretch here as they went to the bus stop on the last lap, and then all of a sudden there were a bunch of LMP2s, GTPs all around that he's been fighting with, as he now has a little bit of a cushion from Mosley back to Vidal. Mosley, though, yeah, he made the pass and thought, okay, I'm going to start walking away, and suddenly kept getting interfered with these GTPs and LMP2s.
Yeah, he had Vidal give him a little love tap in the rear, coming on the previous lap as well, I guess, after just having been passed. But yeah, it's starting to look a little hectic here on the front straight as our GTP cars are starting lap number 16. All right, let's go back. Yeah, Larry, this fight for the lead in LMP2.
Here it is.
And we have, is that Barrera that's closing up on him as well? Yeah, Justin Barrera in the 419 car. Might as well add him to this fight as well.
Yes, for sure. As they go through traffic, Dibdall struggled a little bit here.
Yeah.
I think Justin Barrera did a really good job of using the traffic to his advantage. Look at that tail sliding around for Dibdall there as they now head down the hill. And he's got Dragotta in front of him as they just work their way around. We catch which number that was, Coxon perhaps in the McLaren, but he's desperate, is Dibdall, to get around these GT3s. Now there's a little bit of daylight in front of him, and here comes Cushman flashing lights.
Yeah, as he sliced right across the nose of the Porsche.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think that's going to make Dibdall too happy. That's not Dibdall, but not going to make Dragotta too happy.
And Larry's there is Cushman gets very loose coming out of the corner, and Justin Barrera is able to slice by.
Shot of Kroom. I think after the incident that he had earlier, had some issues, and I think he ultimately retired the car for the night, as has Tyler King. Well, there you go. This is the battle now for second, as Barrera goes around Cushman to take that second spot. And Dean Dibdall's got to be liking this, seeing what he's in his mirrors.
Yeah,
There's battling going on.
And for as much as we think Dibdall might be burning off the tires, you saw the amount of wheel spin that Cushman got
There's
out of the bus
contact
stop.
of the source. Cushman gets into the back of Barrera. Huh. I wonder if Barrera's apex speed is a little less than what Cushman was looking for. That was a pretty good little shunt.
And so Cushman now backs off at least a little bit for the time being as they make the run down to Lacombe. But yeah, exactly. I mean, that's given Dibdall at least a little bit of breathing room for now. That all that hard work that Cushman had put in for about 10 laps, now all for naught.
No, but the work that Barrera did to get him in this position is paying off now.
Absolutely.
Because he was a couple seconds back and all of a sudden finds himself in second place in front of Cushman.
All right, let's take a look at where Barrera got by, and you see here as they were coming into. Was that over at campus? I guess.
Yes.
Just before they get down to Stavilo, and just not a good exit from Cushman. Spun the rear wheels up quite a bit, and a couple corners later, there you go. Barrera makes the pass and makes it stick.
See how long that stays that way. These two are in this pretty good fight. Meanwhile, their fighting has let Dean Dibdall get up to now almost 3 seconds out in front of them. These two may have to play nice through the next round of traffic if they want to make sure they don't let Dean run away with this thing, or worst case, at least giving Dean a chance to save fuel, save tires. You really want to get up there. You want to pressure the leader. You don't want the leader dictate his pace and all of a sudden make his pit stops even easier. Keelan Spalding in at number 8. That right behind them is Bobby Childs, the number 88, the Invictus.
Bobby is back.
Yeah.
Bobby currently running 6th, and I think Jake Zito has also rejoined the fray, Larry, in his Ferrari.
That's good.
Running, I think, looks like 4 laps down and 5 laps down, respectively. So Mike Dam, Larry, he might be the hard charger tonight. Having made up 18 positions, the problem is he's still 13th in GT3 Pro at the moment.
You know, if any night that he's going to do this, start from the back and work his way up to the top 10. Tonight's hit this 90-minute format.
It might be the one.
At a track like Spa with a lap 1 8-car wreck, as Michael Brooks continues to struggle.
Yeah, as he made a late move on Travis Schwenke there, and I don't know if it's just because I don't know if it was intended or if he just missed his braking marker there, but he's luckily for him there was a good amount of runoff there, and he was able to avoid any contact with Schwenke. Let's take a look here.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of draft going at these speeds. There is some draft even in the GT. Oh, he touches the grass just before hitting the brakes. I think that may have actually caused his braking zone issues. Yeah, that's all it takes. You just get out in that grass and you go to tap him. He made the wise move just to get to the inside and get around Schwenke and not cause any kind of contact. But look at this. The battle for second is back underway. This time Cushman on the counter move has it back, but Barrera now on the outside through the bus stop. But it's Cushman for the moment.
Yeah. Cushman got very loose going over the first set of curbs, but was able to gather it back up, and no room for Justin Barrera to work by as they come down that very short front straight.
GT3 leader that's just right behind them.
Yeah, there is Bailey Petrowski. There is the 115.
Yeah.
And I'm not showing, and unfortunately, Larry, I'm having trouble with the radio from Race Control. Petrowski, we're not seeing him having brought the car down the pit lane yet, as best I can tell.
No, it looks like his penalty is only for a post-race 10-second.
Post-race. Okay, not drive-through.
But there he goes on by. This battle that continues to go on as Cushman's getting defensive in his lines. Justin Barrera not able to poke his nose anywhere. Now Dean Dibdall 4.5 seconds up the road.
And so, if Petrowski's going to be is going to have to or is being assigned a 10-second post-race penalty, he currently has 8+ seconds on Kevin Carlisle. Of course, he's going to need to continue to plug away and open up that advantage.
And keep in mind, over historically the last season or two, Petrowski's been conservative with his pit stops.
Yeah.
As Justin Barrera now tries to go around the outside of Cushman, and now he's going to be on the inside as they switch back here through campus, and that's a little bit of side contact, but they both survive. After Stavolo, little lights flash there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you think maybe Cushman didn't appreciate that all that much.
But what I was saying is that Petrowski's been pretty conservative on his pit stops to where he leaves himself some pretty big margin, and he's able to build back up later on. I don't know that he's going to get that margin tonight if he's got a 10-second post-race penalty. Yeah. It's essentially as if right now he's actually down 2 seconds. He's going to have to be very aggressive and very timely on his pit stop when he does actually execute it. This is the best race right now in the field.
And I just love watching them coming through the hairpin there as they struggle to get the rear end to hook up so that they can carry speed down the hill. And all the while, Dean Dibdall's opened up about 5 seconds now as we have Stacy Bertrand come down the pit lane on lap number 18, Larry. And we thought that the pit windows were again going to be very, very tight, especially for the LMP2 cars, where they would come in probably on lap 19. And that's where Stacy Bertrand came in right at the very end of lap 18.
Almost guaranteed she's going to need to do a second stop, a little splash and go before the end, as we're not quite to the halfway mark here, only 40 minutes into the 90 minutes that we've got.
And Larry, just as we were talking, Bailey Petrowski now may have, well, again, a lot of it's going to come down to how his pit stops run, but he's just now crossed that 10-second threshold. He's got a little bit over 11 seconds on Kevin Carlisle, as he also goes and
maybe he's sensing his pit stop be coming up next few laps, trying to build that up a little bit.
Yeah. As he put Nick Mazza in the 77 car down a lap. Mazza running the Cadillac. And Justin Barrera, Larry, brings his Dallara onto the pit lane. So for the time being, that fight with Carson Cushman is delayed somewhat. And a lot more of the LMP2 cars are starting to come down the pit lane. Jordan Griffin, Malik Bass as well.
Cushman's teammate is in a similar paint scheme there. Jordan Griffin. Meanwhile, Cushman continues out there for at least one more lap, probably trying to single stop this race. I think Justin Barrera might have conceded and said, "This is it." And I wonder if that's another thing. Back to our lap 1 incident. Had the stewards gone to a full course caution, that might have been able to make this race a one-stopper for just about
easily,
everybody.
Yeah, and would have opened up the pit window a little bit longer for the GTP and GT3 cars.
But they did not, so now we're into fuel save mode as Travis Schwenke right there behind Zach Mosley. And that's Michael Brooks just in front of him. We've seen the trials and tribulations of Michael Brooks tonight. Tim Brooks was the first one in the chat, and I'm sure probably he's glad that he was here early on. Got to see a lot of Michael Brooks on camera tonight. Maybe not the type of angles he was hoping to see.
As Rich Dibdall goes and asks us to never show Dean on camera ever again.
About time for a Dean Dibdall update then, isn't
Larry.
it? Oh no, as Travis gets bumped there by Vidal, it looks like.
I don't know if he got bumped, Larry. He had the rear end walk around on him, and he might have come over some of the gravel that had been brought on the track earlier. Let's take a look. It was very close, but I don't think it actually. See, he gets in. Well, yeah, I guess he did.
A little bit, just a little bit of contact with the rear, and then gets a little extra. By might have been Speaker.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it might have been Ilya Speaker that got into him there, and I'm wondering how that might have played out if Schwenke hadn't taken that bit of grass or dirt on driver's right going into the chicane. As both Dibdall and Cushman now on the pit lane.
Nick Lemon as well. All right. This should be full fuel loads for everybody here.
And tires.
Yeah, fill all the way to the nozzle neck, right to the top. Don't even think about anything less. Dibdall should move first as he was parked first.
All right, well, Larry, what we'll do, we'll watch these drivers come out as we've got Milan Harris, one of our first GT3 racers, to blink. We're going to see him come onto the pit lane here, but we're a long way past the top of the hour. So I'm hesitant to take a break now because and we're starting to see some of the GT3 cars come in on this lap. Maybe we hold off if John doesn't mind. Maybe we hold off for a little longer.
If you want, there we go. Mike Dam in the 93 is into the pits. Zach Mosley, Charlie Hosea, Aaron Sunday, Adam Ballard. Yeah, it's getting busy in there. Name your favorite driver. They're probably pitting now or a lap from now.
Or in a lap, exactly. So let's hang here for a little bit. We'll see how things play out and when our drivers return as Bailey Petrowski, our overall leader, pits in from the lead. And we see they're coming on to the, actually that's Bobby Child coming on to the front straight. Kevin Carlisle still about 13 seconds. There we go. Mike Dam heads back out on track. Rejoins in 12th in pro.
Adam Ballard, looks like those two coming out together. Isaiah's already done his stop right there. I'm still waiting on the leaders, though. Speaking of leaders, Petrowski was the leader when he came in. And there's Kevin Carlisle, your new leader. All right, that's Ryan Ullman in that Mustang. He is the leader of all the GT3s. SimCity Racing driver. Very cool paint on that car tonight. See how efficient he is with his stop. Ethan Bass. This is that whole front group now coming in.
They're all coming in.
Ethan Bass. Leo Dragotta.
Brian Coxon, Robert Hartley as well. You know, Larry, and as they're on the pit lane, I'm looking over the pit times for the LMP2 racers, and I think we're kind of getting an idea of Justin Barrera's strategy. And I think, as we discussed, as he was one of the first, I think he was the first into the pit lane, definitely first to blink. Much lower fuel load for him than Dean Dibdall, and still didn't manage to come out in the lead. Barrera only in his pit box for 26 seconds. Yeah, and there we go. As Barrera takes the lead.
Oh, that's not going to help him, though.
No, definitely not. But I think Barrera might need to take another stop, certainly.
I agree. Yeah, I think he knows he's going to have to make a second stop, so he didn't fill all the way this time. Decided to get up there with Dibdall and mix it up, but he is going to have to make one more, while Kevin Carlisle, at the time was your race leader, is now in. This should yield the race lead at least to one of the others, potentially back to Bailey, unless one of the others Aaron Beavers and Sean Fitzgerald stay out there, but Carlisle is in. Let's see what he does, stacked up to Petrowski's pit stop. That was a moment ago.
And
Not changing tires.
no, that's a bold move there. And maybe looking to pick up a little bit of time. Again, remember, he only needs to finish 9.9 seconds behind Bailey Petrowski. So if he can pick up a little bit of time,
there's one D2D car, Aaron Beaver coming down pit lane, while the other, Bailey Petrowski, is now on the front straight. Let's see where Carlisle is when he starts to move. There's Petrowski already through Lassource.
And Carlisle is just now leaving his pit box.
He's going to end up being probably around that 11, 12 seconds again. Back from Petrowski. He's got a pretty slow run there down to Eau Rouge, Radion.
Yeah, it's going to take a little time for him to get some heat in the tires at just over 10 seconds where he's separating the two. Should also mention Taj Edwards, who is currently your leader in GT3 Pro, just now finally the very last GT3 racer to blink as he managed to pull out an extra lap over all of our other GT3 racers before he comes into the pits.
Another one of the Orion drivers there is Taj.
As he tried to make up some ground on Amon and Spalding, they both now go by. And Amon there in the Mustang with almost 4 seconds on Keel Spalding's Acura, who we just saw there at the tail end of the shot.
Yeah, a little spread out at the front of the GT3 Pro field. Like I said, 3 to 4 seconds to Spalding, another 4 seconds back to Ethan Bass. So it's Mustang, Acura, Mustang, your front 3. Meanwhile, your points leader, Leo Dragotta, sits in 5th. Right on the heels of Brian Coxon in that McLaren. This is the battle for 4th.
All right, so let's watch this, Larry, and we'll see if Leo Dragotta can make this pass, if he's going to pop out as they come down to Lake Home. All right, and now finally with Sean Fitzgerald pitting in from the lead in GTP. Bailey Petrowski now regains the lead. Kevin Carlisle, the gap back to the 27 Cadillac, is holding steady right at about 10 seconds, 10 and a half seconds. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take our viewers all the way to the checkered flag here at Spa. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps and round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Butt Kicker and the SCCA Foundation. Of course, we want to welcome our new sponsor, Speed Lab Institute for Performance Sciences. I'm Greg Ginsburg. He's Larry Lefty McLeod. That right there is Bailey Petrowski, who continues, Larry, to hold on precariously. I know this sounds odd, but precariously to an 11-second advantage right now over Kevin Carlisle in GTP.
He does, because we believe he's going to be assessed a 10-second penalty at the end of the race. So right now, that 11.1 minus 10 gives him a 1.1 second margin to Carlisle on the net. So we've got to keep an eye on Petrowski. I'm sure he knows about the penalty, and he knows what he needs to do in the next 35 minutes.
And for those of you that are out popping popcorn in LMP2, Jordan Butler is currently your leader. Justin Barrera running in second, Dean Dibdahl running in third. And we were discussing earlier with Barrera how we believed that he short-filled the car and was absolutely going to need to come in for another pit stop. Apparently Jordan Butler has taken the same strategy. They both were in their pit boxes taking fuel for about 15 seconds less than Dean Dibdahl and Carson Cushman.
So if you're Rich Dibdahl and you want to know why is Dean winning the race right now, it's because his pit crew were too slow at his pit stop, and therefore he's lost the lead. So Rich, you got no one to blame but yourself.
Usually the crew chief says, don't come in, we're eating ice cream. The popcorn I hadn't heard of before.
Yes, if you were just not eating popcorn, instead putting fuel in the car, maybe Dean would still be in the lead.
Blame it all on him.
Meanwhile, Jordan Butler's got the lead. He's a couple seconds ahead of Justin Barrera. Barrera was in a little bit of battle, actually, with Dibdahl right after the pit stop, and I think Butler managed to take advantage of that by just being cleaner, so he's got a couple second advantage there while we check in on Leo Dragota, our points leader. Have we gone through all the points so far?
No, we haven't. So we talked about LMP2.
Yeah. So
let's go and we'll look at GT3 Pro. And 3 weeks ago, as Larry has reminded me, Ryan Amon from SimCity Racing, our current race leader in GT3, was the winner out at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta with our points leader, Leo Dragota, second. Ken Copeland from the Wrong Stuff, third. Copeland not here racing this evening. And the point standings after 2 rounds, Leo Dragota with 127 points. That's 12 to the good over his teammate, Mike Dam. Ethan Bass, only 3 points back from Dam, and only 15 points out of the championship lead. The Drop Bear Motorsports Mustang driver. And is Mr. Bear here racing this evening? I don't believe he is.
That's been there for Aaron Sunday.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you mentioned about Ethan Bass sitting third in the championship. I believe right now sitting third in this race, so it's a good position to be able to continue to accumulate strong points.
Of course, he's still here in the Mustang. And then Ryan Amon, our points leader, currently sitting fourth with 109 points. He's only 3 points back from Bass in the championship, and only 18 points back from the overall lead. As we check in, I think Aaron Sunday might be enduring the worst lap of his evening so far, Larry.
He's going to need some popcorn. So, Rich, if you can share. Aaron is having a bad day right now.
Yeah,
He definitely needs a little pick-me-up.
Well, you know, when one of those rear wheels is pointing about 45 degrees in the wrong direction, that's kind of what happens. If we look over at GT3 AM, Tyler King from Aerokinetics, it was not a good night for Tyler King. He took the win at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and Carlos Barrero from Speed Lab, Dream to Inspire, finished second. Dan Carrido from P1 finished third, and Neil Weston just off the podium at fourth. Point standings after 2 rounds. Carlos Barrero from Speed Lab, Dream to Inspire in the Lamborghini Huracan. He got a lot of good camera time to start this race off. He is your points leader, but only, Larry, by a single point. At least, again, this was coming into this evening, over Tyler King in the Aerokinetics Audi R8. 81 points to 80. Then 10 points back. Julio Barrero, Julio with 70 points, running third in the championship. OHND's Aaron Sunday running in fourth, and Sunday a pretty good distance back, 46 points back from the championship lead after
Look at
2
this.
rounds.
A little bit of a struggle up the hill for Coxon, and it looks like perhaps now Leo Dragota may have that opportunity he's been looking for, even going to catch a little bit of Bobby Child's draft. I just don't know if the top speed of the Porsche is enough. Is he going to tuck his nose in? He is.
Yes, he
gets to
does.
the cone. That's a beautiful pass there, taking an opportunity that he's been waiting for. Just a little bit of wiggle up the hill there for Brian Coxon allows Leo Dragota to slip through for 4th place. Meanwhile, that would be Kevin Carlisle trying to sneak his way through and being patient there behind these two.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Larry, that delta between Petrowski and Carlisle has grown to just about 15 seconds. A lot of that is Carlisle has to weave and make his way through this GT3 traffic. All right, let's take a look over. Speaking of GTP, Larry, we'll take a quick look here at the point standings and how things turned out 3 weeks ago, where Kevin Carlisle from SimCity took the win over Sean Fitzgerald, with Jim Pfeiffer and Aaron Beaver rounding out the 4-car field. Not taking the green flag was Bailey Petrowski, so didn't gain any points from that round. However, when we go and look at the championship standings, again, after only 2 rounds of 8, we've got Kevin Carlisle, your points leader, 9 points to the good over Aaron Beaver, and then another 50 points back to Bailey Petrowski. So, again, dug himself a little bit of a hole early on, but I think after the next round, which is going to be held in just a few weeks at Long Beach, we'll start incorporating those week drops and have a little bit better idea of where some of these drivers stand.
Yep. Petrowski just making his way around the GT3 leader, Ryan Amon, as they've gone through La Source. Here is one of the other Orion drivers. We just saw Leo Dragota make a pass. This one is Mike Dam sitting behind Zach Mosley.
And Dam now up to 11th in pro, 21 positions to the good. Far and away your hard charger this evening.
Probably looking for the same sort of deal in front of him, hoping to see a car do an extra little wiggle, little something going up our Rouge Radio, but not this time, as Mosley in that Corvette just super clean. Good little view of the rear view camera in the Porsche there as we've got the onboard shot. No one behind, at least this time, for Mike Dam. This right here, this downhill braking, one of the hardest, most difficult corners on a lot of racetracks, certainly here, because it is downhill braking. The whole corner is just a big 180. It's a lot of it's off camber. It starts to roll down that hill. The car just loses whatever grip you think it has.
And you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting until you can get back on the throttle. Yeah,
but then you get
so difficult.
Then you come out of that, you get down the hill toward Pool Hall, and it is just this amazingly fast balance of a corner that I love it. It's one of my most favorite corners on this track because you just have to semi-send it into it, but with a little bit of brakes to set it up. I just think that combination coming out of the hardest corner, one turn, and then all of a sudden into what I think is the most fun, one of the fastest corners anywhere. John Fitzgerald trying to get by this battle. He does.
As they make the run now out of Blanchimont and down towards the bus stop, Larry. Doesn't look like Mike Dam is going to be close enough this time. He tries to draft up. Maybe picks up a car length under braking, but again, looks like he's going to need to cover the Corvette once again all the way down to La Source.
And up there in front of him, that's Michael Brooks. Brooks running about the same pace as these guys are right now as Jordan Butler, your leader in LMP2, comes to pits for the second time. Probably the last.
Yeah, not unexpected.
Yep. And I actually would expect to see Justin Barrera at some point as well. Now, Barrera does go by this time to resume the lead. There he is. But
likely within a lap or two, we're going to see him come in.
5 minutes, yeah, he'll be in. He's trying to go around the outside of Eau Rouge, around Vidal, and he does. So to build that lead on Dibdal, who led everything right up until that pit exchange there.
And Larry, I think we'd see probably, well, I think Barrera really needs to pick up probably another 6 seconds or so, which isn't going to happen in a lap, to have any hopes of clearing Dibdal after that second pit stop. As Mike Dam now gets past Zach Mosley. Let's take a look and see how that happened.
All right, through Lacombe as they head down to that corner I was describing. It's one of the hardest, especially under braking. Dam takes that challenge. Look at that. The car control under braking to stay underneath Mosley. That's a beautiful pass. Mosley to say, if you can outbrake me there, I'll let you have that one.
Yeah, and Mosley took he started to make his way down to the apex. I think realized maybe a little late that Dam was already there, but luckily was able to keep that car out, and they were both able to make it through successfully here as we watch Justin Barrera just behind that battle. And again, we think that
Justin Barrera now 13 seconds ahead of Dibdal.
So
and growing.
It's getting there.
Yeah. This is going to be an interesting little fight here between Barrera. What it does mean is Barrera's not going to be able to take tires.
No.
And I suspect his first stop he didn't either, to try and make those stops as short as possible. So he's going to have to save tire as we get down to the closing laps of this race.
Well, he's going to stay out for at least one more, Larry.
Yeah. And he was efficient, a very efficient way of getting around those two GT3 cars into that bus stop. And here is his rival, both rivals, in fact. There's Dibdal and Cushman, nose to tail. They basically fought for the lead there partway through the first stint. If Barrera's pit stop is a little bit too long, these two could right now be fighting for the lead. Oh, look at this. That is perfectly set up for Cushman to make a pass on the Kemmel Straight. Less than a car length here. Look at a good run through Eau Rouge, Radion. And these cars will take a little bit of draft at these high speeds down this long straightaway.
Wow, and look at the speed in the draft coming through Radion that he carries. He pops out early, lets his intention be known, and Dibdal is just not going to put up a fight.
Yeah, smart move there. I mean, you still got 25 minutes or so left in this thing. This is not last lap, but now he can sit behind. Maybe Dean can sort of learn a little bit of what the tendencies are of Carson Cushman. Maybe save a little bit of fuel if he needs to. Maybe save a little bit of tire. Probably needs to if his house smells like burnt popcorn. And now they'll have to navigate around Josh Vidal in front of them. And I think that's Ilya Speaker then in the other Acura just ahead of that. Vidal going extra wide to let the LMP3s, LMP2s go by. I don't think he meant to go that wide.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that was the plan. But has given Cushman a little bit of breathing room at the moment as Justin Barrera just resets fast lap ahead. And that gap now, Larry, to about, well, it's 14 to Cushman and another two back to Dibdall.
And here it is. This is the stop. This is what we're waiting on.
This
it's 14 and a half seconds when he peeled off. You were saying he thought we maybe needed 16?
Yeah.
Let's see if 14 and a half does it or not. Let's see if his pit crew is better than Team Dibdall's.
And
he's up.
Then the car comes into the air for tires.
I don't know if it means he's taking tires or not, if that car always pops up.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. That is the lead now. Cushman, Dibdall. Barrera is actually going to drop down the order to at least 6th, maybe 7th. Is a long stop.
Yeah.
I'm showing about 24 seconds on this one.
Yeah, and add that to the 26 on the first one. And
Stacey Bertrand also just dropped into the pits as well to take her second stop.
So actually, Larry, now that I think about it, I was basing my calculations solely on the amount of time in the pit stall, not the transit time that's involved. And that's another, I mean, it's, again, a long pit lane.
All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on that. He's going to probably be at about another 15 seconds back. But Cushman and Dibdall, it's 2 seconds and 2.5 now advantage to Cushman. 20 minutes to go. That's a lot of time, though. A lot of traffic out there. We've probably still got 40-plus cars on the track, of which 2/3 of them are some variant of GT3s, including these two, Robert Hartley, Milan Harris. This is the battle for 6th.
And Taj Edwards, Larry, who had run very long on his first stint, didn't work out very well for him, unfortunately, but he's only about 2 seconds, a little bit less than 2 seconds back.
Yeah, he's gaining on these two as well, as these two may be fighting a little bit. That's given Taj a chance to get up there with his teammate Hartley. They try a little up and under, not quite there. Good defensive line for Harris exiting that bus stop. Edwards, though, creeping ever closer. Yeah, it took another second out of these two that time around for Taj Edwards now in 8th, but getting awfully close to this battle for 6th and 7th in front. Meanwhile, Michael Brooks behind them. Board with Edwards and the Porsche.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brooks is lapping faster than Harris and Hartley as well.
Yeah. Kevin Carlisle wants to sneak through, and he's going to find a battle in front that's going to prevent him from doing that. Actually, there's Carlisle there. It must have been his teammate.
All right, and so with Barrera falling back through the field, that moves Jordan Griffin up into 3rd for the moment. And Larry, he's got a fight on his hand for that last podium spot with Malik Bass in the 191 machine.
Yeah, he does. And Griffin, the teammate of Cushman, I'm sure these two are running similar setups and probably practice a lot together. We'll see if Jordan's got the same sort of aggressiveness that we've seen Carson Cushman have, especially when it comes to these one-on-one battles. They got Mosley right in front of him right now, and I'm sure Griffin would like to get Mosley out of the way if he could. Trying. It's going to be a good run, though, here for Bass. Quite as close as I figured he would be as they go through the kink here, heading toward the bus stop. Bass maybe going to set up on the outside, set up wide, but probably not make a move.
Yeah, Took a very wide set, maybe lost a little bit of ground doing so, but obviously Larry also, as they get to the chicane, wasn't going to really help him all that much here. So he's going to exit right behind, but again, if he can't get him, maybe because of the ill-placed...
Oh, that's nearly contact. I don't know if Mike Dam didn't think he was going to be there, but I thought Griffin had plenty of overlap there to have that inside of the corner.
I thought so myself.
Yeah. And then going by right there's the 13 of Jake Zito in the GTP car while these two continue to battle it. We saw earlier, great pass on this straightaway.
Exactly, Larry. I was going to say that Bass is probably in a very good position now. Well, I thought he was going to be in a good position coming down to Lacombe, but he got on the brakes incredibly early.
I also wonder, well, we saw Cushman make the pass on Dibdall there, and I'm starting to think maybe Cushman and Griffin both are running a relatively low downforce and have better trap speed, and I don't know that Malik Bass was able to catch him. It's this part of the track here where Bass, if that theory holds true, Bass will be quicker through some of these mid-speed corners to be able to close up if he's running more downforce. He's got to get around to Brooks, though, to catch back up to Griffin.
Yeah, as they came through Brussels, that he tucked in behind Brooks, and somewhat surprising that he'd done that as opposed to pushing the car down the inside. He might have been able to make up some of the ground.
The battle in front of them, though, I think, is that Taj Edwards in the 42 and Mike Dam?
Yeah.
No, that's Robert Hartley and Taj Edwards.
Yeah, with Milan Harris in the Acura, maybe a little bit further up the road. There it is. There's the Acura. As Hartley runs wide.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to get intense, though. I do wonder if Griffin's running lower downforce. If he is, he'd be tough to catch. If they're on similar setups, Bass should have some draft here, and he's going to try the same thing he did the last time. He's going to run wide, maybe just try and push Griffin into a bad entry and exit, but doesn't seem to be doing anything this time. Now they got to get around Milan Harris in that Rockefeller Racing Acura. The greatest exit there for Griffin, but again, if he is running lower downforce, that would make sense. This is where the car would shine. The speed here. Down the next straightaway.
Well, and we'll see as Bailey Petrowski follows them up.
Yeah, that was what real speed looks like.
Yeah.
GTP speed is a different scale. He's topping out 100. His highest speed for Petrowski today has been 192 miles an hour. I didn't catch what it was this time by.
Well, now I'm showing that he was up at 194.
Okay. Griffin's top speed today in the 170s, so about 15 or so miles an hour, maybe 20 miles an hour slower than a GTP.
All right, so here again, and you can see there coming through Brussels where he really does have a good run there. He's able to close things up, but as soon as they get out, and as you said, they set up for Puhan and that very high speed double apex right-hander, once again, you have Jordan Griffin start to open up maybe 3 to 4 car lengths, which is just enough to hold Bass off for the entire rest of the run.
Yeah, it's a good little fight. Just kind of looking at the standings. We'll check in with him in a few minutes. Is Dibdall still 2.5 seconds back from Carson Cushman? Not quite making ground yet. We'll wait on that. We'll stick with this battle here for the moment, as this is one of the better battles on the track.
As we have less than 15 minutes remaining here from Spa. Bailey Petrowski is your leader. Kevin Carlisle second. Sean Fitzgerald third. That's in GTP. Cushman, Dibdall, Jordan Griffin, your top 3 in LMP2. In GT3 AM, it's Josh Vidal, your leader, over Adam Ballard and Neil Weston. And in GT3 Pro, Ryan Amon is your leader over Keel Spalding, with Ethan Bass running in third.
Amon to Spalding in GT3 Pro has come down a little bit. It was hovering around that 4-second mark earlier, now down to about 2 seconds. Could just be traffic related. Most of that, I think, in the last lap. Or last couple laps. Bass also turning some good laps, but not going to be able to do enough. But Amon and Spalding, we're just going to keep our eyes on this. Perhaps if Amon is nursing the car, or maybe his fuel load isn't what he was hoping it would be. So we'll just kind of watch if Keel Spalding can make any ground here in that Acura to catch up to that Mustang in front of him. You can see how close they are on track.
They're close on track. The time spent in their pit stalls, only about half a second difference between the two.
If you're Spalding, you can almost sense it. You just know you're closing in. You know that if you could just get one more really good lap, maybe a GTP car, LMP2 car, just kind of disrupts Ryan Amon just a little bit. It's all you need to make a fight out of this. And there, I love that graphic. That shows you every lap, half a second or so. He's been gaining now the last few, put us in this position where he's just 2 seconds back now with about 11 minutes left in the clock. And this might be something that can help a little bit, because I know these GTPs are not the quickest through these corners. That may actually hinder a little bit Amon getting through that bus stop. Let's see if Spalding's able to close up by the 10th or so. Look at that. On the last lap, another 137.
Another 1300ths of a second erased. And so, Larry, once again this season, we'd like to thank our great partner, Butt Kicker, that after our season finale in Daytona this season, we'll be offering up a Butt Kicker Gamer Plus package worth $279.95 to one lucky driver here in the series. And for that drawing at the end of the season, each driver will get an entry for each point that they earn over the course of this season.
Well, Ryan loses another 10th or so to Spalding. They continue to get closer there while we check in on the battle here of Griffin and Bass. Still Griffin leads, but look at the traffic in front of them as they come down to Lacombe. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
If you're Griffin, it's nervous time.
The Lamborghini there just waited as long as he could to turn in.
And that's the battle for fourth, the GT3 Pro right in front of them. Coxon and Dragotta, and those two aren't going to yield at all to let these two come through. Oh, that's Ethan Bass. And I don't know if he's going to help his namesake here, Malik Bass. I don't know if they're related. One's British, one's American. Could be cousins, who knows?
Wondering if I should make jokes about Bass Pro Shops or the singing bass up on the wall.
Or he's fishing for an opportunity.
Yes, that's right. Hook, line, and sinker, yeah.
Well, in the chat, Bryce Hudson checking in, cheering on Ryan Amon, your current leader in GT3 Pro. It's a dwindling lead, but Ryan, they're cheering you on.
Not a dwindling fan club, though. It sounds like there are 4 of them there.
Yeah.
Going and sharing one keyboard.
Can all 4 of them go in and like and subscribe? Maybe.
The problem is if they each hit the button, it only counts for, because
they all got to go log in.
One on, one off, one on, one off.
All right, so there is Ryan while his fan club's watching. Let's get some camera time for him there in the number 87 Mustang. Now down to 1.6 lead over Keel Spalding. 7 minutes left. And Ryan has led really since the green flag dropped. That melee happened. He came clear of it and hasn't looked back. But now he probably doesn't want to look back, because when he can see his Acura getting really big in his mirrors. Ryan's paint for the month is fire. Does look really good.
I'm guessing that was probably Tyler King saying that in the chat. Or no, SimCity Racing, not Dipper Comics.
Yeah.
Never mind. What is that? Is that
Kevin
like
Carlisle?
confetti?
Would that be impressive?
Yes, it would be. Never mind the fact that I probably would like start a war by implying that he defected. All right, here is it is Malik Bass, and Bass is a little bit closer than he's been, Larry.
Take a look behind them, though.
Yeah, here come Lemon and Butler.
Yep.
Also locked nose to gearbox.
Yeah.
And only about a second and a half back.
Yeah, what I find interesting is Butler did this on a two-stop strategy. Remember, so did Justin Herrera, though, is still seconds back, 13 seconds back from all of this. Jordan Butler's making it work and has a shot, an outside shot at a podium here. He's got to somehow get past Lemon and Bass and Griffin to do it, but they're all in his sight. Look at this, Butler. We've seen what he can do.
To the inside.
Yeah, we've seen him in his expertise in GTPs before. Now we're getting to see what he could do in the more standard spec prototype.
And Larry, there you go. Malik Bass gets around Jordan Griffin coming out of the chicane.
Did he make it stick? He hasn't yet. This is what Jordan Butler wanted to see, is these two side by side at La Source. We're going to have essentially 4 cars together at Lacombe here in just at the end of the Kemmel Straight. You watch. It's not going to be long. There are going to be 4 cars. So you can already see Lemon has got a run. He's in the draft. Butler's coming in behind him. Look at this.
Oh, my.
This is a 4-way battle for the 3rd step of the podium in LMP2. There goes Bass. Nothing there. And he's got to back off. What about Lemon? What about Butler?
And neither can take advantage of it, as Malik Bass had to get out of the throttle before he got into the back corner of Jordan Griffin ahead.
A little bit of a slide there for Bass. Again, if watching Dibdall earlier is any indication, these cars like a little bit of slide. They like a little bit of English, so to speak. Bass gets that car slide a little bit. Would that be a fishtail? Oh, look at this. Butler's going to try and make the move on Lemon. That's a tough place to do it because it switches back the other way. Now this is what he wants, though, is to force Lemon into a bad exit of this. That's the last breaking point before they all the way get down to the bus stop. Butler now in the draft. He's going to probably try to make the move on Lemon shortly after they go through this kink ahead.
This corner, yeah. As they roll through Blanchemont and start to make the run down to the final chicane.
Kevin Carlisle might just want to sit this corner out.
Yeah.
He's going to sit back and watch. Oh, look at this. The two in front both go to the pits. That's Griffin and Bass both needing more fuel. That's going to now make this your fight for 3rd now is between Lemon and Butler.
And Butler, oh my gosh.
Did not see that coming. We completely lost count of when these two had done their pit stop. So this would be about the world's shortest pit stop between them. There you go. As Griffin's already moving. Bass a little bit slower.
Time in the box for Jordan Griffin, 4.6 seconds.
But Butler and Lemon, they're out ahead. They should be coming down Kemmel Straight now.
Well, we've only got 2.5 minutes left on the clock, Larry.
Where is Bailey? There's
Bailey Petrowski and Larry. The delta between Bailey Petrowski and Kevin Carlisle. Now, as we just said, Carlisle should just sit back and watch this fight unfold ahead of him. Not going to matter now as far as a fight for the win, as Bailey Petrowski has that 10-second time penalty coming to him, but he has now almost a 40-second advantage over Kevin Carlisle.
We do actually know what the source of that penalty was, in fact.
We do have it.
Lap 11, he got into the back of the 186 of Filippo Barreri. It caused Filippo to actually have to take some damage repairs. That is the reason for the 10-second penalty. But as we are now inside of the last 2 minutes, Bailey Petrowski should be seeing a white flag right here.
And the
Barney
Belgians,
should be
they
waving
wave a limp white flag, but there it is.
Barney's Belgian cousin. There he is. I see him in the background.
You call him
All
French
right.
fry?
Well, what that means, that means that Lemon and Butler battle's got a lap and a half to go. The Jagoda-Coxon battle for 4th. The GT3 Pro is still going since Jagoda made his way on by. Here they are with what looks like Malik Bass just after his pit stop right in between them now. Leo's not going to make this easy. Now he'll move aside.
And Larry, after having started 28th, I think, or no, 24th of all the GT3 cars, Mike Dam is now up into the top 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
great run.
Yeah, he's made up 23 positions overall so far today.
There he is. This time,
And,
Taj Edwards
close it.
has gone by.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Or
I think
he hasn't.
very
I take
close
that back.
to Edwards.
Yeah, he is. Edwards actually was trailing Hartley, so actually that's how they are right now. 7th, 8th, and 9th is Hartley, Edwards, and Dam. But let's check in with this battle as Butler's gotten around Lemon now on what I believe is the last lap. So this would be for the podium. Dibdall 5 seconds back, and Cushman probably not get anything at this point to try and win this thing. This is the best battle, though, for the 3rd step of the podium. And that was Ryan Alman, your GT3 leader, right in front of them.
All right, so Bailey Petrowski now comes out of the final chicane, as at least one of our cars may have lost some fuel there, and taking the win in GTP, Larry. It is Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing in the 115 Ferrari.
I think
Kevin
that was Ilya
Hart-
Speaker, who was parked there waiting for the race leader to go by, so he
Yeah.
wouldn't have to do another lap. Very smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
All
right,
right,
let's
this is
jump.
Cushman.
Yeah, let's jump over to Carson Cushman. He is your leader in LMP2. He's got 4.5 seconds on Dean Dibdall. Green flag in the air, and taking the win is Carson Cushman. Dean Dibdall comes out of the final chicane across the line. He'll finish 2nd. And Jordan Butler should be able to bring that car home
There he is.
in 3rd. There's the DNA Motorsports racer with Nicholas Lemon, not able to
And
squeeze anything else out of the
and your
34
GT3 leader.
machine. He's going to finish 4th. Over in GT3, taking the win is going to be Ryan Amman with Kyle Spalding, finishing in 2nd. Ethan Bass, we're still waiting for him to come out of the final chicane in his Ford Mustang. There he is. And so Ethan Bass will bring the 219 car home in 3rd. In GT3 AM, Josh Vidal, your winner. In the number 26 Acura, Adam Ballard will finish 2nd, and Neil Weston brings his Chevrolet Corvette home in 3rd.
Couple of good races there. That was a lot of fun. These big fields at a track like this always makes for great racing.
All right, Larry, let's take a quick break. Thanks to some of our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have some of our race winners available to talk to here at Spa, where you've just seen round number 3, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Butt Kicker and the SCCA Foundation. Stay with us.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Ricmotech has you covered. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps, where you just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Butt Kicker and the SCCA Foundation. Let's take a look at that final finishing order, where Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing takes the win in GTP over Kevin Carlisle and Sean Fitzgerald. And Bailey Petrowski going to be assigned a 10-second time penalty after the race here. That should still give him a margin of victory of 34 seconds. In LMP2, Carson Cushman from Purple Sector Motorsports takes the win over Dean Dibdahl from Rocket Ship Racing, with Jordan Butler from DNA finishing in 3rd. And then we move over to the GT3 ranks, where in Pro, Ryan Ahmed from SimCity takes the win over Kale Spalding from 704 Motorsport. Ethan Bass will finish in 3rd. And then in GT3 AM, taking the win is Josh Vidal in the number 26 Acura, with Adam Ballard finishing in 2nd, and finishing 3rd, Neil Weston. All right, Larry, let's take a look and see who we've got in the green room right now. And I believe we have a Mr. Josh Vidal from HSR Phantom Racing. He's your winner in GT3 AM. Let's hear from him.
All right, Josh Vidal has joined us here. And Josh, winning the M class tonight, no easy feat. That opening corners there at Melee, what was your view of all that? How'd you snake on through?
Dude, I have no clue. That's not my first time trying to get through a wreck there. I feel like whether it's league or officials, there's always a wreck there. I guess I just got a little bit lucky. I mean, I slammed on the brakes, but we went 3 or 4 wide or something. Someone hit me and I thought I was out, but I believe I kept it straight enough to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, just crazy there. But once you got through that, kind of settled in, a lot of different traffic there tonight to deal with, the battles between the LMP2s and then the GTPs coming through. Those guys seem to be a little pushy at times. Was it just our look at it? You think that everybody played nice after we got through the opening lap?
You know what? I think I'll save my comments on that. All I'll say is I'm definitely not the happiest about some of that, but it is what it is, I guess.
Okay. But in the end, you do get the win. It's definitely a big thing for you. Fought through all of that traffic and all that melee to earn this one in a 90-minute race. There's a lot of opportunities for mistakes, and you managed to minimize them and come away victorious. How's that make you feel setting up now to finally get that victory here as we start looking at the end of the first half of the season here in a few weeks?
Honestly, it feels good. I had no clue I was even in contention for a win all week. In the practice sessions, I felt like I was on the back foot. Everyone was running like a second and a half faster. Their average laps were faster by about a second too. And my plan for today was just to survive and avoid carnage. And I think maybe just that is what got me the win here.
Yeah, it is a great strategy, great execution to be able to pull that off and get the win here tonight. So great job there, but I know you probably have some friends and family that support you and helped you get here.
First and foremost, I want to thank my buddy Daniel Krim for making this paint job. Fortunately, I was able to win in this paint job for this paint job's debut. It's supposed to be a NSX from Super GT back in the 90s, early 2000s. So thanks to him for making this paint job. Want to thank Brian Motorsports. Want to thank GTS Concepts. Want to thank All Star 15 TV, JVM Graphics, and I want to thank my team, HSR Phantom Racing, for helping me with tunes and deal with traffic, and Jake Zito. He's not in the same class as me, but he is on the same team as me. He's in GTP, and he was helping me throughout the race, telling me where cars were, times and gaps and wrecks and everything. So yeah, thanks to everybody.
Well, yeah, great team you got there helping you pull it all together and get the win here tonight in GT3 AM for HSR Phantom Racing. Josh Fidel, congrats.
Yep, thank you.
All right, thanks so much there, Josh. Let's move on to our next podium finisher here. And Larry, let's bring in our overall winner, our GTP winner tonight from D2D Sim Racing, Bailey Petrowski. Let's try it again. There we go.
All right, joining us here is your overall winner, Bailey Petrowski out of GTP. And Bailey, very eventful tonight. Let's start out with the 10-second post-race penalty that you've been assessed. Didn't change your ultimate result, but tell us a bit about the incident that led to that.
Yeah, I do want to apologize to Filippo for that incident. It purely just a misjudgment. I don't know how much damage he had from it. From my end, it felt like it was just a scrape and didn't really look like much, and I got no damage from it. It didn't really affect me, but he seemed to pit immediately after, so I imagine it did cause damage for his car, so I do apologize for that. But yeah, a bit more of a dramatic race than I'm used to and generally take part of, but overall still I'm pretty happy with how I performed. I definitely was a bit more aggressive with the traffic than I normally am, and part of that's just trying to get more comfortable with traffic and trying to lose less time now that it's a bit less of a filled GTP field. So but overall, yeah, I'm pretty happy with my performance tonight.
Yeah, and when the penalty was announced, it was still early in the race. You had time to sort of make sure that you could cover that gap. But going into the pit stops, it was still hovering in that 10-second range. Were you watching Kevin? We know Kevin's got great pace. Were you just got to keep your eye on that gap the whole time?
Oh, absolutely. Probably more than I should have. But I think for the most part, I was able to keep my head down and just keep a very solid pace. It was just more frustrating when I got into situations with traffic where I was forced to wait. And there were quite a few of those scenarios. But other than that, it was probably my main focus in this race. It was just every time I got to a straight, was looking up, trying to see how far away he was, whether I needed to push a little harder or try and take more risky moves. So it was probably what dictated most of the decisions I was making, at least for the first 20 minutes after that pit stop.
Yeah. Well, in the end, you're able to open up that margin enough to where the penalty didn't seem to affect things in the final outcome, and it does give you another win, your second win on the season. Still could be interesting. Kevin came in second. He had that win a couple weeks back at the race you weren't at, so it's not decided. It could be a good little hustle to the end. Does this motivate you to get ready then for the next round in 2 weeks to make sure you pull out a win there too?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure Kevin's gonna get up to pace very quickly. He seems very quick, and we've been doing a bit of driving around each other in the practice sessions. He is very quick and learns very quickly, so I imagine by the end of the season it will be a very close fight between us, and very excited for that. But especially for this week, with how close it has been between me and him, I was concerned initially coming into this and put in a lot of extra practice to try and make sure that I could stay in front of him and keep my position. But no, I think he's gonna bring a challenge definitely later in the season.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that. But tonight you can celebrate victory. I know you've probably got friends and team and sponsors and others you want to give a mention to.
Yeah, definitely want to thank friends and family as always for watching these races. Thank you guys for commentating on these races. I want to thank the new sponsor for the series, Speed Lab. appreciate you joining on the series and supporting us. I want to thank Ricmotech and Buttkicker as always for making this series possible. Thank you guys at Apex Racing as well as the SCCA I forgot what the last part of that was.
SCCA Foundational work.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I was second guessing it. Okay. But yeah, want to thank everyone as well tonight. It was very clean tonight, and it was a very enjoyable race. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season to see how this goes.
All right, well, you can celebrate tonight with another victory here at Spa. This time in our 90-minute one, you get the win for D2D Sim Racing, Bailey Petrowski.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
All right, Larry, let's move on now. And I'm running down my choices here. Let's bring in our LMP2 winner tonight, driving for Purple Sector Motorsports, Carson Cushman.
All right, Carson Cushman has joined us. And Carson, I know when you signed up for this season, this was what you were looking forward to, was a nice straight-up battle with Dibdall, who has won a couple of rounds, but you took it to him tonight. And tell me a little bit how you're able to finally get by him and start to make that push away from him. But it was so much fun to watch. Tell us a bit about your side of it.
Yeah, I'm never expecting to be on his pace. I think it was a fuel saving thing. I don't know what happened. I think he was trying to save an extra lap than he needed to because he burned off a heater there at the end. But he was just, I could tell he was fuel saving a lot, and he didn't take. I don't think he took tires at the pit stop either. So, I mean, I was just hitting my fuel mark, and I just kept gaining on him. So I think he was just saving too much.
Yeah, the battles that you guys had, and in the middle of all that, you had Justin Barrera as well that you had pretty good fights with. In all of that, we thought for a little bit that you and Justin were going to fight so much that maybe Dean was going to run away. Was that kind of your worry at that phase of the race?
Well, I didn't think Justin was going to go the extra lap on the first stint, so I kind of, just by the way he was racing, and I was just starting to fuel save, so I kind of, at that point, I kind of just let him go. So I hope that he was not gonna one stop it like I was. So I kind of let him go. But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun battle. Some questionable driving sometimes. Not by Justin, but just in the whole field, there were some pretty sketchy moments. I'll say. Other people have been chiming in on it too, but yeah.
Well, in the end, it was a lot of fun to watch, whether it was you with Justin or you with Dean. But in the end, you get the victory. Finally, I think we've got a fight on our hands here. It's not going to be a Dibdall runaway. And I think even Dean's dad, Rich, in the chat's cheering for a little bit of competition as well. And you've brought it tonight and getting the victory here. But I know you've probably got some teammates and family you want to thank.
Yeah, I'll thank Nick because I thought it was a one-stop, like, no problem. But so first part of my stint, I was full 100%, and then he's like, I think you have to save for a one-stop, and then that's what won me the race, to be honest. So I started saving like midway through the first stint, so props to Nick there. It was his first race in the league tonight too, so he did a good job.
Yeah, Nick he had a lot of fun. Looked like there at the end of the battle for third. He ultimately came in fourth, but it's great to see more involvement, and the Purple Sector team seems to be now fielding a whole group, so it's really great to see. But tonight, it's all about you, all about that victory here at Spa in LMP2. Your winner, Carson Cushman.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go, Carson Cushman from Purple Sector Motorsports. And now, Larry, let's move over to our final race winner of the evening from Sim City Racing, driving the number 87 Ford Mustang. It is Ryan Amon.
All right, Ryan, tonight, getting the victory here in GT3 Pro. It looked easy, but I don't know how easy that was. 90 minutes in that car. It looked like a lot of saving the car, a lot of work, a lot of execution involved there. Tell us a bit about what it went into you earning the victory tonight.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The car's a handful on this track, especially with the track temps out there. My main goal, I guess, was just to keep the tires from melting off the car and maintain that little gap I had. I didn't want to push too hard or do anything stupid. Just wanted to try to bring it home, keep the front wheels in front of the rear wheels. So.
Yeah, it looked like as we got into the last 15 minutes or so of the race, Spalding was closing the gap down. He got it down to about 1.6. Was that part of maybe a little bit of saving at the end, or was there actually just a strong pace in Spalding at the end to make a push?
I was saving a tiny bit of fuel. I was kind of like, I was back and forth on my fuel calculator lap-wise, so I was either going to be a lap short or have almost a full extra lap. So I was trying to save a little bit and keep him, just keep him far enough behind so he wasn't in my draft.
Yeah, well, it was well managed and well executed to come away with the victory tonight. And that paint is just awesome. We've got some comments in the chat as well. Looks like even one of your SimCity teammates pointing out here, it looks great. The rainbow colors here are just fantastic. It's really great.
Yeah, well, I'm the team painter, so we try to do special things for different occasions and different special events. So, yeah, pulled out the rainbow for this month.
Yep, very cool. But tonight, just a dominant win here to be able to get this victory, and it's going to be an interesting season now as the points start to tally up. We'll see where things are as we get to the end of the night, but tonight you get to go and celebrate. But I know if you want to celebrate, you probably got some teammates and some family you want to celebrate with.
Oh yeah, just want to thank the team at SimCity Racing. It's the best family you could ask to be a part of, and all of our sponsor partners, of course. Got great support from them as well, and my husband for putting up with my crazy.
Yep, always good to have strong support there. So congrats on the victory here tonight for SimCity Racing. Your winner and GT3 Pro is Ryan Amon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Ryan Amon from SimCity. Congratulations to him. And so, Larry, that's going to wrap up our interviews. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up on the schedule in the next couple of weeks. Next Monday night, June 16th, the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup for the GR86 Cup. And, oh my gosh, who else runs it? Oh, yes, that's right. It's the Hyundai Elantra TCR cars. It's going to be at Long Beach for 60 minutes. I almost forgot that it was just the Hyundais there for a moment. And then you and I were going to be staying out at Long Beach for a while, hanging out in Los Angeles for a full week, because in 2 weeks, Monday night, June 23rd, the World Challenge is going to be at, say it after me, everybody, Long Beach, California, for a 75-minute battle for the checkered flag. And then in 3 weeks, the Touring Car Cup heads to, I love it, Portland International Raceway. So we get to hang out on the West Coast for a little while. Say hi to our good friend Brian Bolansky. Anyway, let's go wrap things up. And so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Monday night from Long Beach. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.